Alright, what's up yins guys? I'm gonna read another chapter of this here book. In this chapter, it's probably up yins guys' alley if you followed a few of my videos on my takes on different kind of harassment and stalking and work-related games, you know, different kind of games out there in the world that people do. And in this book, I've told yins guys before, I made reference to this book, some of yins guys that actually read my videos. This, I should have read this in the first place, but like I said, I'm taking random chapters, and I realized I held mind reading. And people's family members do this. I could go on about that. You guys could probably think of things in your head, whether you had family members doing this bullshit, and co-workers and everything else. But yeah, it's a chapter on mind reading. And I think next I'll probably go right into the next chapter called The Put Down, which, yeah, where I got some of the information for a lot of my videos, particular ones, a couple of you guys that actually are watching my videos that commented, I got my wisdom from this book, and I made reference to it before. So anyway, I'm going to get started here. Alright. Mind reading. Another control mechanism operates when the victim is maneuvered into the position of having to read the mind of the perpetrator. People do this with their ex-wives, ex-husbands, and ex-boyfriends and girlfriends. This everywhere, whether you're a workplace, co-workers do this, certain different cliques do this. Geez, if you're in school or college, people do this shit. So, I mean, alright. So, another control mechanism operates when a victim is maneuvered in a position to read the mind of the perpetrator, anticipating his needs and responses. Background noise is going on here. I don't know how much of this. And yeah, and that also gives rise to counter maneuvers. When, say you don't speak it, say you don't even speak it on YouTube like some of us do, there's countermeasures and counter maneuvers. And like I said, like people will create it like an idiot that sees a UFO, you know, they'll look at you like you're nuts, your own family members do something. If you don't even admit to it, or everybody has their countermeasures, like a lot of us, like I talk about. So this exists, and there's countermeasures that I talk about. Anyway, get back to the reading. It is difficult enough in formal situations such as employee-employer relationships to feel defined expectations, but in an extra-personal relationships where so much is left unsaid, the difficulty may be insurmountable. It would seem that loving context expression would be easier, but the reality is that it is often more difficult. In this situation, people hint, imply, suggest, or subtly act as if they're angry or just be silent. Well, to pause this again too, there's a lot of political YouTube videos, and people talk about the media. On either side in your life, there's this term that's used. I'm pausing this book. This is important because this book is saying it. The idea of virtue signaling. Okay, this bullshit that I just read in this passage, and when I read on, the words virtue signaling go hand in hand with this shit. All the time, you know, body language, passive aggression, and then virtue signaling is all going hand in hand here. And it could be intimidation tactics, like subtly intimidating you into not verbally defending yourself, or not saying you agree or disagree with a thing, you know, I mean, read between the lines, you know what I mean? Yeah, in religions, if you're in certain churches, or among certain peers, and the opposite side of the tracks, it's fucking everywhere, you know? Critical thinking is pretty much banned. Even people that claim to be champion critical thinking, you can be in a crowd, and you're critical thinking, oh, you're not allowed to think this or that. Okay, so they're not really critical thinking either, you know. But anyway, Yeah, double standards and triple standards and all that. Good. In this situation, people hint, imply, suggest, or subtly act as if they're angry or may just be silent. Yeah, I'll give you that. Some kind of stink eye or whatever. Generally, these responses follow a conflict of some sort between two parties. Often it occurs when the injured party feels the other has not done something in a way the person wants. Oh yeah, on the YouTube videos, people are talking about how people are being triggered if they don't outright react, like they're triggered, like you see these memes of these social justice warriors throwing a fit, the memes about it. It ain't always like that. There's always subtle hints of passive aggression too, but it'll come out later, or people won't throw a fit right in front of you. They'll give you the stink eye, but then go to the boss or go to some authority somewhere, or the alpha of a particular clique behind the person's back and start really throwing a fit, screaming and crying and shit. They'll act passive aggressive in front of you, don't react in front of you, give you the stink eye. That happens a lot of times too. Like in a workplace where I got fired for doing push-ups and splits and everything else too. People act like they didn't care and then they went crying. And I got the information, it's weird, and the boss admitted saying some kind of things that they thought it was weird, indicated somebody was triggered and was scared. A couple of different things were complained all at once, on a couple different cards being played, a couple different Yu-Gi-Oh cards being played. But enough about that. I'd give you more specifics later. I want to go on and on about that. But when our husbands, wives, lovers are unhappy at something we did or didn't do, they have the ability to make us feel guilty. A certain look does it, or a door closing a bit too loud does it, or a frosty request to change the television program. A request once complained to me, I'll be damned if I know how she does it, or why I respond the way, but somehow I finish up feeling guilty. And when there's nothing to feel guilty about, well, geez, when I was younger, in my teenager years, my mother did that shit all the damn time. Reminds me of those YouTube videos, that woman doctor, that does the videos about narcissistic parents. Goes hand in hand with this. Instead of verbally stating their displeasure or their need and possibility gaining to compromise, the perpetrator attempts to make you feel like you should have known, or that you're wrong, or that you hurt them. Well, there's different workplaces too where you can get the stink eye, like you get your ass kicked, or like you can get fired. Different kind of cultures. Like when I go to different job assignments, some are nicer than others, and you gotta recon their culture. Then say you go to this place and then this place, and people do and different things like this or act this way, and then you go to some place in some totally different culture, like you're supposed to know different shit, or yeah, that can go on and on about that, too. But yeah, that's like a little bit everywhere, or make you feel like you hurt them or you offended them, or and another, again, somebody's triggered. They'll all go ahead and be triggered instead of coming right to you and asking you a simple question or something and maybe clear it up. Raise a big stink to somebody else, usually either behind your back to some person, or sometimes if they don't do it behind your back covertly, like I said, do something, wait later, and then say some kind of shit right in front of a bunch of people, and you gotta go, whoa, wait a minute, what the hell, you could have came to me, Yeah, so instead of verbally stating their displeasure or their need, possible gaining through compromise, the perpetrator attempts to make you feel like you should have known, or that you're wrong, or that you hurt them, or triggered them, or offended them, You are made to feel that you should have initially understood that they were displeased with your behavior, or should have automatically understand that behavior pleases or displeases them, and last, that you should change your behaviors so you do not displease them. or offend them. So you're supposed to be a psychic or a mind reader. People do shit with body language, the stink eye, you know what I mean, and all kind of different shit. Or yeah, my favorite thing that people do too, or act like you're talking to somebody and bring another name, and then in front of other people, like they're not talking about you, and they're looking right at you saying stuff or whatever too. And then you'll say, well, oh geez, well, and then you can say, well, in that conversation, well, did you actually come to them and say something? And they have that look on their face, oh, and you could tell it was no, you know. Yeah, they hint like they're talking about somebody else, but they're talking about you in the room. And then what you do is just to say, oh, you know what, you could have just asked somebody, you know, and they'll correct it, or if they didn't say this or didn't say that, you know. And yeah, family members do that shit, you know what I mean, covertly to each other. If you, yeah, I remember the old Carol Burnett show, you know, the soap opera, they did a parody as the stomach turns. That might have been, some of you people younger than me, yeah, it's before your time, you know, I mean, but if you allow the other person to put you in the position of having to mind read, then you are fully expected to change your behavior to suit their convenience, or to relieve their hurt or their angry feelings, or the thing that they're offended. If you allow this kind of manipulation, you end up not only blocked from doing what you wanted to do, or what you got to do, or what you're supposed to do, say if it's in a workplace and you can't function, but do something else to make up for wanting to do in the first place, you are under control. So that's the end of that chapter. And I guess I can do the put down later on, but that leads into the put down. Should I go ahead and see how much? Oh, this is only 12 minutes. It says that I've been